Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself right now. Have you ever checked your bank account and the number you saw made your stomach drop? Like, not just a little uncomfortable, I mean genuinely scared. Like, how am I going to get through this month? Kind of scared, because I have. And if you've ever felt that, then this video is made specifically for you. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you today is something that genuinely changed the way I handled money. And it didn't require a finance degree, a windfall, or some complicated investment strategy. It was one simple trick, and it saved me when I had almost nothing left. I'm Dr. James, your money advisor, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we talk about real money, real situations, and real solutions. None of that fluffy, just stop buying coffee nonsense. Today, I'm getting personal. I'm pulling back the curtain on a chapter of my life that I don't talk about enough because I think too many people are going through it right now and feel completely alone. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you the exact method that helped me crawl out of that hole, $1 at a time. So let's go back. A few years ago, I was not the Dr. James you see on this channel. There was no studio, no microphone, no audience. I was sitting in a small apartment, staring at a stack of bills on my kitchen table, doing the math over and over again, hoping the numbers would somehow change. They didn't. I was between jobs, had a little freelance income coming in, barely enough to cover rent, and I had maybe $200 sitting in my checking account with 3 weeks left in the month. $200. And I still had groceries, utilities, transportation, and a phone bill that was already 2 months behind. I remember feeling this weird mix of shame and panic because I was someone who knew about money. I had studied it. I had advised other people about it, and yet here I was, completely stuck. The worst part wasn't the money itself. The worst part was that I didn't even know where it was all going. Every month, I'd start with what felt like a reasonable amount, and by the middle of the month, it was just gone. Like it evaporated. I wasn't buying luxury items. I wasn't going on vacations. I was just living. And somehow living was costing me more than I had. Does that sound familiar? Because I hear that from so many people. They're not being reckless. They're not irresponsible. They're just trying to survive, and the money is still running out. That's when I stumbled onto something. And I say stumbled because it genuinely wasn't something I planned. I was cleaning out an old notebook, one of those composition notebooks from years ago, and I found some notes I'd taken at a financial seminar early in my career. And buried in the middle of a page, in my own handwriting, were 3 words that stopped me cold. Name every dollar. That was it. 3 words. And at the time I'd written it, I probably nodded along and thought, yeah, okay, makes sense, and moved on. But in that moment, sitting in that apartment with $200 to my name, those 3 words hit completely differently. See, most people think budgeting is about restriction. It's about saying no. It's about cutting things out and feeling deprived. And that's exactly why most people give up on budgets within 2 weeks, because nobody wants to feel punished for living their life. But naming every dollar isn't about restriction. It's about intention. It's about looking at every single dollar you have and deciding in advance exactly what job that dollar is going to do before it leaves your hands. Not after, before. So here's what I did. I took that $200, and instead of just watching it disappear like it always had, I sat down and I gave every single dollar an assignment. I said, okay, $60. Your job is groceries. $40. You're going toward my phone bill. $50. You're being set aside for transportation, gas, the bus, whatever I need to move around this week. $20. You're my emergency buffer, and I am not touching you unless something breaks or bleeds. And the remaining $30. You're my breathing room. Small things, a coffee here and there. Whatever small joy I need to stay sane. I wrote it all down. I didn't use an app. I didn't build a spreadsheet. I used a piece of paper and a pen. And then, and this is the part that sounds almost too simple, I checked in every single day. Every morning, just for 5 minutes, I'd look at what I'd spent the day before, subtract it from the right category, and see exactly where I stood. Not weekly, not monthly, every single day, because when you're working with very little, Every single day matters. You can't afford to wait until Sunday to realize you overspent on groceries on Tuesday. Something shifted almost immediately. Not because I suddenly had more money, I didn't, but because I had clarity. I knew exactly what I had. I knew exactly where it was going. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control of something. Even if that something was small. Even if that something was just $200. That sense of control, I cannot tell you how powerful that was. It was like the financial panic that had been sitting on my chest for months. Just lifted a little. Not completely, but enough to breathe. Now, I want to talk to you about something that I think is really important here, and it's something most finance channels won't say. When you are broke, truly broke, the goal is not to build wealth. The goal is to survive with dignity and stop the bleeding. Wealth building comes later. First, you have to stabilize. And that's what this trick does in the beginning. It stabilizes you. It stops the chaos. It gives you a system when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Once you're stable, then you can start thinking about growing. But you can't grow what you can't control. After that first month of naming every dollar, I had something left over. Not much. Maybe $15. But $15 that I hadn't had the month before. And I took that $15 and I put it in a separate little envelope that I labeled Future. That was my savings. $15. Embarrassingly small by most standards. But to me, in that moment, it represented something enormous. It represented proof that the system worked. It represented evidence that I was capable of managing money even when I had almost none. And that evidence, that psychological proof, is what kept me going. Month 2, I was a little more careful. I'd learned which categories I was underestimating. Groceries, always groceries, and I adjusted. I put a little more there and trimmed a little from somewhere else. By month 3, I'd picked up a small extra income stream. Nothing dramatic. But because I had a system in place, I knew exactly where that extra money needed to go. It didn't just get absorbed into the void like extra money used to. It had a name. It had a job. I want you to understand something. The reason most people fail at saving money isn't laziness. It's not that they don't care. It's that they've never been taught to treat money as a tool that needs direction. Money without direction is like water without a container. It just flows out and disappears, and you're left wondering what happened. But the moment you put that water in a container, the moment you name it, assign it, intentionally direct it, it stays. It accumulates. It grows. Now I want to give you the exact steps I used, so you can apply this starting today, not next Monday, not after your next paycheck. Today, with whatever you currently have. First, find out exactly how much money you have right now, not an estimate. The real number. Check every account, every wallet, every corner of your purse. Get the real number. Second, write down every single expense you know is coming before your next paycheck. Don't leave anything out. Phone bill, groceries, transportation, any subscription that's about to hit, anything. Third, assign every dollar to one of those expenses. If your total expenses are higher than your total money, which happens, and it's okay, then you have to make some hard prioritization decisions. What keeps the lights on? What keeps you fed? What keeps you employed? Those come first. Everything else gets negotiated. And fourth, every single morning, check in. 5 minutes. Look at what you spent yesterday. Update your numbers. Stay in the game. That's it. That is the whole system. 4 steps. No app required, although there are some great ones out there, if you prefer digital. No complicated spreadsheet, just intention, honesty, and daily attention. I've since worked with hundreds of clients, people in situations far worse than mine, people with debt that felt suffocating, people who hadn't had a positive bank balance in years, and I have seen this method work every single time it's applied consistently, not because it's magic, but because it addresses the real problem, which is not a lack of income. The real problem is almost always a lack of awareness and direction. Give people awareness and give them a direction, and they will find a way. I want to leave you with this. Where you are right now financially is not where you're going to be forever. I know that might be hard to believe, especially if you're in the thick of it right now, but I was sitting in that apartment, scared, ashamed, calculating whether I could afford to run the heat that night, and I rebuilt, slowly, imperfectly, with a pen, notebook, and a decision to take control of whatever small amount I had. That's how it starts. Not with a big break, not with a lucky investment. It starts with deciding that every dollar you have, no matter how few, deserves your attention and your respect. Try this for 30 days. Just 30 days. Name every dollar. Check in every morning. See what happens. I genuinely believe it will change the way you feel about money, even before the numbers start to grow significantly, because the feeling of control comes before the wealth, and that feeling is what keeps you going. If this video helped you, please give it a like, because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this message. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your biggest money challenge right now? I read every single comment, and I want to know where you're at so I can keep making content that actually helps you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because we talk about this stuff every week. Real strategies, real talk, no fluff. I'm Dr. James, your money advisor. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.